Hey guys, and welcome back to what is another top 10 video right here on TetraBitGaming. The first Nintendo system I got when I was young was the NES, and one of the first games that I played on it was Kirby's Adventure. From that point, I thought Kirby's signature ability was fascinating. For those of you unaware, this pink puffball has the ability to ingest enemies and subsequently copy their special abilities for his own use. There is basically a different Kirby power for every circumstance, and as such, in this video I will be outlining my top 10 favorite Kirby abilities and powers. There are a few rules for this list, however, namely no combo abilities from Kirby 64 will be on this list, as I'll probably make a separate video for those at some point. And secondly, this list will only have powers from games which I have played, so spoiler alert, there won't be any from games like the newest Planet Robobot. And as always guys, please keep in mind that this is my personal opinion, so if there's an ability you really like that doesn't make it to this list, it doesn't mean that it's not good, but rather that I simply just didn't enjoy it as much as you did. And lastly guys, if you do enjoy this video and want to see more of my top 10s in the future, please be sure to slap a like down below and let me know what your favorite Kirby abilities are. It will seriously help me out a ton. And with all of that said guys, let's go, my list of the top 10 Kirby copy abilities. Now I'm sure many of you have at least once thought about what it would be like to have a clone of yourself. Kicking off this list at the number 10 spot is the Mirror ability. After gulping down a similar enemy, Kirby gains a fancy scepter along with the power of illusion. Using this scepter, Kirby can cut enemies or project multiple mirror-like objects which can reflect attacks or damage enemies. Kirby can also duplicate himself into 2, 5, or even 7 Kirbys, all which can damage enemies they come into contact with. Kirby also sports a two-tone Jester hat, which is almost identical to the one he wears with a beam power-up, which makes sense seeing as how the mirror attack and the beam attack are really similar. Have you ever wanted to have a tornado on your head? Well, me neither, but if you ever wonder what it would be like, just ask Kirbo over here. With the press of a button, Tornado Kirby turns into a cyclone and whirls around the screen. While spinning, Kirby is invincible to all attacks, including that of bosses, which is obviously super useful. But just like real tornadoes, this ability is hard to control during its 4 to 5 second duration, which is sometimes annoying. And by holding B when using this Kirby ability, Kirby can also elevate himself while spinning, which is kind of cool too. Additionally, the tornado ability didn't break star blocks until more recent Kirby games, which was another slight annoyance when using it. But that being said, you really can't go wrong with an ability that damages enemies and makes you invincible at the same time. Coming in at the number 8 spot is the infamous Mike copy ability, or as the Japanese call it, Maiku. Its effect slightly changes in some games, but for this list I'll be focusing on the most common variety. This copy ability is really easy to explain. Kirby grabs a microphone, channels his vocal cord power, and kills every enemy on screen. I think it's kind of funny that when the other pink puffball, Jigglypuff, sings, it puts everyone to sleep, but Kirby just flat out makes them explode. Now you might be thinking, wow, this copy ability is super overpowered. And it is, but it does come with one major downfall. You can only use it 3 times. But another really cool thing about it is that Kirby's animation changes each time you use it. First, Kirby becomes a sports fan donning a baseball cap and screams into a megaphone. Second, Kirby turns into kind of what I look like right now, singing into a desktop microphone with a pair of headphones on. And lastly, and certainly the most interesting, Kirby goes full screamo and even grows a nice green mohawk. Just listen to this beautiful voice. But I mean, it's still much better than this. Yeah, it's just creepy. Okay, Jett Kirby seriously has the coolest hat, hands down. I mean, it's quite literally a fighter pilot helmet with jet wings and a big rocket burner attached to it. Hats don't get much cooler than this, folks, believe me. The helmet even protects Kirby from most projectiles, and not only does the hat look really cool, but it also grants a pretty powerful ability. Unfortunately, however, this power doesn't appear very often in Kirby games. With this Jett ability, Kirby can use his afterburner and hover in the air for a long time, and can boost mid-air sort of like when using the burning power. Kirby can also launch himself in the air at high speeds while grabbing an enemy before plummeting back down to the ground and crushing and kicking the enemy away. I imagine that would be pretty painful to be accelerated into the ground at jet engine speeds. Rest in peace, Waddle Dee. Up next at number 6 on this list is the rarely seen magic ability. The better iteration of this ability allows Kirby to become a magician and use stereotypical magic acts to destroy his enemies. In typical magician fashion, Kirby pulls a flock of doves out of his hat, throws playing cards at enemies, and can even summon an oversized clown head on a spring. Now, if you don't think those moves are all too special, just wait, because the main reason I think this ability is really cool is that you can trigger a roulette, which can have a variety of outcomes. For example, you can get a random copy ability, or spawn cherries and 1-ups, or if you're lucky enough, you can call up your boy Meta Knight to appear and kill every enemy on screen. It is a gamble, however, as once you take a chance on the roulette, regardless of the outcome, the magic power is consumed and Kirby will revert back to normal. Either way, I really like this ability and I'm surprised it's only really seen in 2 Kirby games. What do you get when you cross Kirby with Link? Yes, there's that, but in this case we're talking about one of the most iconic and common Kirby powers, the sword. Donning a long green hat similar to that of Link's from The Legend of Zelda, Kirby now wields a sword which he can use to cut up some baddies. The sword is basic but effective. You get your basic slash, spin jump slash, up slash, and slash slash, just to name a few of the moves. It is also one of the few power-ups you can use underwater as well. I didn't really want to get into Kirby's super abilities from Kirby's Return to Dreamland, but the Ultra Sword is too cool to pass up. You basically get to use a giant sword, cleaver, fan, or even fish to slice up basically the entire screen. The move also returns in Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS as Kirby's Final Smash, but this time only the sword is used. I never really thought about it, but I guess using a large fish as a sword would be kind of effective. Coming up at the number 5 spot on this list is the Super Smash Bros. Copy ability. And just like it sounds, this power grants Kirby the ability to use many of his moves as seen in Super Smash Bros. Games. Kirby can now use the Rapid Punch, Special Final Cutter Jump, Down Air Stone, and Side Smash Hammer among some other moves. The way to get this ability in Kirby and the Amazing Mirror is also really cool. To get it, you have to defeat and consume Master Hand, who makes a cameo appearance in the game. As many of you may know, he hails from the Super Smash Bros. Series. Although the power is fairly scarce in each game it appears in, I think the Smash Bros. Moves actually work really well in a traditional Kirby game, and it feels very fluid to move through levels while elegantly beating up everything in Kirby's path. Speaking of Smash Bros., Kirby's ability to copy his enemy's power carries over into the Smash Bros. Series, so Kirby can copy the special attacks of all the fighters in the game, from Captain Falcon to Bayonetta and everyone in between. At first I didn't want to include the Smash Bros. Kirby copy abilities on this list as I wanted to make a separate video on them in the future, but then I realized that'd be the same thing as just making a list of the best special attacks for every character. Obviously some abilities are better than others, but overall I just think the fact that we can see Kirby take on the characteristics of every character to be hilarious and awesome at the same time. Looking good, Ganondorf Kirby, looking good. I really like the wheel ability. Call me crazy, but ever since I was young, I thought this and the number 1 ability on this list to be awesome to play with. Kirby puts on a backwards red baseball cap and can now turn into a wheel and zip around the stage. While rolling around, Kirby is basically invincible and can plow through pretty much any bad ombre or obstacle. The Achilles heel of this ability is only present when changing directions, and at that time Kirby is susceptible to damage. Although some people argue that this power is hard to control, I think it's awesome to be able to zip around a level and travel from point A to B really quickly, and being invincible to boot is just icing on the proverbial cake. Alright, now as always, before I get to my number 1 pick on this list, here are a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make it to this list for one reason or another. Like I mentioned in the last pick, the UFO has always been one of my favorite powers. I remember getting it for the first time in Kirby's Adventure and thinking, wow, this has to be the coolest ability in the game. If you're lucky enough to find a way to get the power in a Kirby game, you'll see Kirby turn into a UFO with many different abilities. With the UFO power, Kirby now permanently levitates without the need to flap his arms to stay aloft. UFO Kirby also has access to the beam attack as well as the laser ability, which I was initially going to include on this list too, because I really like it, but obviously it would be redundant. Also, depending on how long you charge the laser attack for, it will have different effects. It's a really powerful ability, and I think the developers of this game agree, as usually you can't carry the power with you after you beat a level. A rare, powerful, cool looking ability, what's not to like? And there you have it, my dudes, my list of the top 10 Kirby powers. Did you guys agree with my list? Let me know what some of your favorite abilities are down in the comment section below. And let me know what other top 10s you'd be interested in seeing in the future. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to check out some of my other similar top 10s in the following end card. And if you want to stay even more up to date with me and this channel, don't forget to subscribe, as well as follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Links to all those pages will be in the description below. And as always guys, thank you all so much for watching today and for all of your amazing support, and I will see you in a bit.